Hey everybody, welcome to the stream. We're going to go live in about 14 minutes. Should be a good one. Nice early morning start today. But hey everybody, we are going to go live in about 4 minutes. We got Mark here. So, hello, Mark.
Hey, how you doing, Felix? Thanks for having me. Appreciate everything you're doing with this show. I think it's really fun, and I'm excited to get stuck into this, get nerd out with you a little bit. You know?
Oh yeah, it should be fun. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, it should be quite a fun game. I was there at Cincinnati. I didn't get to see this game. I was filming on the pitch, just one over.
What game was that?
Oh, I don't know what it was at the time.
Right. Okay. Would have been quarterfinals or something, though, right?
Yeah, maybe it was Smog playing in mixed quarters or something.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
So people in chat, say hello. We're gonna go live in like 3 minutes. I'm gonna play like a little Patreon advert before we go live. But yeah, get chatting in the chat. It'd be good to see who's watching. There's just a nice little handful of us today, it seems. So hello, Dibbles. How are you doing, Dibbles? You from Australia?
Yeah, Dibbles is from Australia. Where is the... I'm struggling to find this chat. Did Dibbles say hi?
I dread to think what your name... Yeah, Dibbles says hello, yeah. I dread to think what your name comes up as when you type in the chat, Mark.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. They'll all get my gamer tag.
Cool, place for colony. Nice. All right, welcome. Good to see you in the chat. All right, cool. I'm going to play Patreon advert. There's Henrik. Yes, finally the Australian ultimate. Cool. I'm going to play quick Patreon advert. So you've got like a couple of minutes, and then we'll go live. Let me know if there's any sound issues. I think I've got it balanced just about right now.
I need to find.
You can find Patreon Ultimates, clips from live streams, get early access to upcoming YouTube analysis videos, see behind the scenes material, and even commission me to analyse footage of you playing. Patronage is the way I can continue doing what I'm doing, so if you value the work, please support it today. There's even a tier if you just want to watch more videos of my cat Rue, and we all know that's the real reason you're here. Okay, everybody, we're about to go live. So So Alt Tab back to this window. Hello Hero, i.e. Or aka Kim in the chat. Yeah, and Mark's in the chat ready. Okay, right, let's go live. Hello everybody and welcome to the stream. I am Felix from Felix Ultima. This is Rue, my cat, and I am joined today by the co-captain and coach of Colony. It's Mark Evans. Hello Mark, how you doing?
Hey Felix, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you very much. This is the earliest stream I've done, so that's a bit new. But yeah, I'm feeling. I've got my coffee. I've got plenty of energy. So
yeah, definitely. Me too. I'm excited. I'm excited to get into this with you. And I follow your other streams, and you get really stuck into the detail, which I'm excited about. Let's break this game down. It's an exciting one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I was talking to you about this before, but I know a lot of players from both these teams. And I've played for Ring of Fire in 2014. I spent a season there, 2 years in North Carolina, and obviously a bunch of time in Australia with Colony. But I'm excited to tell the Australian perspective of this game because I think, something we found when we were playing over there with the commentators was they talked about what they knew about, which was American Ultimate, and you never really hear the Australian side to this story or the context of this game, what it meant for us, and so that's the kind of story that I'm excited to tell here as well.
Yeah, awesome. Yes, we do hear a lot of American Ultimate and a lot of American perspective, and so it's always good to get the alternative.
Yeah, exactly.
So if anyone's new to the stream, I know there's probably quite a lot of Australians who are tuning in, perhaps the first time. Maybe there's some people from Japan or New Zealand or somewhere else in that time zone who this is a better time for. But we take our time on the stream. It's like an analysis stream, not like a watch party. So we kind of go through in detail the plays, and it takes about an hour and a half or 2 hours to go through the first half of the game. But then, getting into the detail can be really interesting. If you have any questions or suggestions, or if you notice anything that you think would be worth looking at it, then let us know in the chat. Morning, Luke, in the chat. So I'm going to try and keep my eye on the chat the whole time, and as will Mark, to interact with you as much as possible.
Yeah, definitely, especially if Felix is off doing his controls and drawing on everything. Ask away, and I can address that whenever, guys.
Cool. And Rod is in the chat as well. Peter Robert Wright. Welcome. Good to see you again. It's one of I don't know how to pronounce that name.
Sohan. Let's go with Sohan. If there's another way to pronounce that, Sohan, let me know. But yeah, I am excited as well. I think that the junk looks in this are really interesting, and I'd be happy to break down ours for you. It's not particularly impressive, but I can show you some of the focal points of it, and really what it sort of break down what it's trying to do, what's good, what's bad, outcomes. Because yeah, in a zone, it's just about what are you trying to achieve. So yeah, let's get into the nitty gritty of it.
Indeed. I don't know if you can see my t-shirt. Let me just show you my t-shirt. See that? Does that look familiar to you at all?
Oh yeah, Redback Spider.
Yeah.
I can see that.
It's actually a Sydney team.
The Redbacks. Yeah, they definitely have been around for a little while. I'm actually not sure how far back. It's usually a kind of scrambled together pickup team of people that want to come to these events because we get one too many bids. That maybe didn't happen recently because
Frisbee's more popular.
Yeah, just more popular, exactly. But yeah,
they're one of the last placing teams in 2006. Oh look, Andrew Jackson in the background with the clapping shirt on.
Yeah, we have an infestation of redbacks outside my house right now.
Yeah, I went to Worlds in 2006 in Perth, and I was staying with my friend Mental then, and I went into the garden and I saw like a an insect or a spider web and stuff, and I was like, I'm interested in nature, so I kind of looked closely, and I saw the little red mark on the back, and I was like, maybe that was a redback, and I was like, probably not. And then, I got inside, got settled, and I was like, I think I saw, a spider outside. It might be the redback. And he was like, yeah, probably was. And I'm like, is that like common? And they're like, yeah, they're pretty common, just around here.
They don't kill you though, is what I found recently.
They don't what?
They're not deadly. They're not deadly. They just give you a sting that lasts for a couple of hours.
Right. My uncle's Australian, and he got stung, and he just sweated it out for like 2 days.
That's pretty brittle metal.
But yeah, I said, oh, what do you mean by like round here? And he said, just in the garden. And I was like, really? And then I looked under the chair I sat on, and there was 2 redback spiders under the chair.
Oh my goodness!
It's like, welcome to Australia.
Yeah, you just don't think about it too much, man.
Yeah, don't think about it.
Yeah, that's my advice. Like, Australia will kill you, but only if you're really dumb and you stick your hand in like a hole or something. Don't do dumb stuff, and you'll be fine.
Have you seen that clip of a paraglider circling around and landing, and then these kangaroos run up to him and just start kicking him? It's like, get away from me, you damn roos.
So we're about to get into the first pool of the game. Just to set the scene, there's like a little bit of wind going left to right across your screen, but not too much. Actually, wait. I'm trying to think. The wind wasn't a huge factor. There was a little bit blowing cross, as you can see, like cross field, but it wasn't a big factor in this game. And it's a beautiful day. It's like, I don't know if you're in degrees Celsius, but we're in like 25, 28. The ground is really hard. It's like deceptively hard. And it takes a lot out of you in that sense, a lot out of your joints. And it's deceptively hot. So you're always generally sweating, and we're really mindful of fluids and fluid intake.
So this is interesting. Didn't complete the first pass of the pool. Is this U20?
No, I'm upfield in the white cleats.
This okay.
Yeah, exactly. White on white was big in 2018.
I read something recently saying that there's a concept from other sports where if you serve so far that they're able to complete your first pass, or the equivalent, then basically that's been an error in the serve. And so that would be like, normally pools go too far because they're able to catch and then make a pass, and it's better for your defense if they can catch and then immediately your defense is there, even if it's sacrifice of yards, and that's what happens. That's what happens here. The pool's just in front of the end zone, and the players are down there already.
Yeah, but I mean, the ideal, right, and the achievable is a pool that hangs, and you're able to get there with the depth and the speed. Like,
yeah, you need like John McNaughton or something, don't you, for that?
yeah, exactly. You do need a little J-Mac action for that. So who we got? Peely with the disc now. This is me. We run out of a vertical stack in this instance, and you're looking for the 5 to cut, so the 5 being the last in the stack.
Okay.
And you're also looking to generate through the 1 as a kind of like a second look, so the 1 in the stack. We forget about 6 and 7. Don't worry about those numbers. You go from 1 to 5 in the stack.
So we've got a pick here. Jimmy Mickle. Yeah. So there's an argument that says that you shouldn't have defender on defenders being a pick, because like,
that is interesting.
That guy could have got out of the way, but like,
yeah, but then you could, I guess you couldn't really abuse that as a defensive player though, but you could abuse it as an offensive player.
Yeah, that's always the problem, is the offense could potentially abuse the rule. I mean, you can't really plan rules for expecting them to be broken though. But really, like, if defenders just got a bit more field awareness, then they should be able to get out of each other's way. I've got quite an extreme opinion on picks. I think that every player should be responsible for their own positioning, and they should be responsible for themselves not initiating contact. And I think it's illogical that a player can be responsible for somebody else not initiating contact.
Yeah, one of my friends, Ben Sutas, I don't know if Ben is watching this, but he he also has strong opinions on picks, coming from a basketball background. But yeah, I kind of get that, and you can like, there's loopholes in the pick rule as well, which is something like if you're a defensive player, you can position behind other players in order to generate a pick call.
Yeah, and it's legit because it's a defensive tactical decision to mark 1-1 and to position yourself in a certain place. So
yeah, exactly.
Defensive tactical decision combined with offensive movement and positioning, it generates a disadvantage for the offense. Luke's actually doing some work on this. The rules already say you should avoid picks, so it's not a problem if D picks aren't allowed. Henrik asked a question which I was going to ask as well. How did you end up with Mikkel and Chris Kocher playing Colony?
Yeah, it's a really interesting story, actually. So we were pulling together this World Clubs team, and at the time, this was like a year out from the tournament, so 2017, perhaps mid 2017, and at the time, Cupcake was over. So Cupcake, Tom Tullett, the co-captain on this team, was over in the States in Boulder playing for Bravo, and got to know Mikkel quite well. There cut with the disc, just threw it to Kocher. And then Chris Kocher and Jimmy are really good mates from their various tours, Next Gen and such, and we're just kind of looking for a bit of a life change, I think. And Cup kind of put it out there and then was like, hey, Mark, I might get these two guys to come play. Like, they're kind of interested. And you hear that and you think, like, whatever, kind of, it's one of those things that people just like say, and then, there's no way that these guys are going to move out. And, to be completely honest, there was also this kind of like fear as well, like you're a big player on a team like Colony, you that position and you've earned that kind of respect, and are these guys going to come in and just really show you up and show you how it's done? And so, there was, if we're being honest, there was also that anticipation of them, just showing up and being the kind of, I guess, cocky American player that you might be afraid would come and take over your team like that.
Natural.
And so they, Cupcake, managed to get them over the line. Jimmy and Chris agreed to move out for a season and to play the World Clubs campaign. And they arrived one day and I met them at a pub after work. And they're just the best. They're both the best. They were, we met in a pub and I was kind of just like talking to them about, I kind of expected, I overthinking it as you do. And I was kind of expecting them to come in and be like, oh yeah, we've got to run this, and this, like, this is how we're going to make it work. And they didn't care at all about that. They were just there. They were just here to have a good time and to bond with everyone and to enjoy the culture of Australia and to make friends with all the boys. The end result is that they legitimately progressed Australian Ultimate by years in terms of the example they set and in terms of the skills and the athleticism that we were able to witness at trainings twice a week. And you think you're a really good thrower, right? In Australia, you think you're one of the best throwers, and then Jimmy Mikkel comes along and is able to break marks at will, and he's a big guy and he uses width, and you're like, I'm kind of as big as Jimmy, like why can't I do the same shit? And so it's it was a really an amazing opportunity for us, and they had a great time too. Like,
so how long were they actually living out there?
They were living out there for, I would say, like, they came a bit into the season, so they came like a month in, and I would say like 5 months or something like that, 4 or 5 months. Any international people listening, come to Sydney. It's the place to be. Beautiful beaches, harbour, great ultimate. We play year round. It's lovely weather. Don't have to bother with any of that indoor stuff.
I might take you up on that.
Yeah, exactly. Hit me up. It was a really great experience for them, and they were there for 5 months. And I think it was interesting also to talk about the like negativity that we received as a team recruiting someone like Mikkel and someone like Kosher, it feels, I think the world felt a little bit like, oh, why can't these guys kind of go it on their own merit? And, like they were a part of the team by the time we got there. They were an integral part, and they were one of the boys. And I think that, given that opportunity, as any nation that's not the USA or maybe Canada or maybe Japan would take that opportunity. Given the opportunity to expose your entire country, through the nationals program to that skill set on a regular basis, was a huge opportunity for not just us to perform really well and to step up our game, but for the rest of the country to experience that on a regular level. And so it was something that we jumped at, and that the hesitations that I had ended up seeming foolish, and like I didn't have any kind of sort of foresight into how much of an opportunity it was at the time.
Interesting. And I guess they would give some input strategically or whatever after bonding with the team and after kind of getting on the same page with everybody.
Yeah, but they were happy to run within the structures that we ran. They didn't have any particular desire to influence that. They wanted to define the nitty-gritty of it. Where did the dump go at this point? Where, the things that you're focusing on, I think, where do we pivot? What's our first option here and there? But other than that, I think that they were, pretty happy to go with the flow. Chris is just, like, he doesn't have that much to say. He just gets it done. Like, he's just in there. He's just given 100% and just crushing it. He's amazing. The 7 Chris's v 7 Jimmy Mickles combo, that's tighter than a lot of people make it seem. Oh, this is a bad catch from Peely.
Yeah.
So that was straight to his chest, and him and I have been hooking up on that all tournament. I had thrown, that was maybe like the 8th around flick I'd thrown to specifically Peely. There was a point in the French game where I was like, hey, can you just like open up your hips and run that way a little, and I'll put it out for you. Yeah. And then that game we scored maybe 3 of that exact throw. So he was just looking at that. But so he was mad that he missed that. That would have been a fun. That would have been another on his goal scoring tally that was close, but not quite the first. Maybe it was the first.
I think that's the first. Did Mikkel? No, I think they got the disc back after that.
Yeah.
Oh, straight. First pass
straight through Laviolette.
Benji, by the way, in the chat says the Mike Palmer double summer. So I'm sure Mike Palmer, Ulti TV. I worked with him a lot. I do work with him, hopefully in the future as well.
Yes, yeah. Mike Palmer's doing great things for Australian Ultimate as well,
and European Ultimate. Like he literally came over and was like, right, you guys need to be doing this and this and this, and just got it all going.
And what a lifestyle as well, I'm sure it's exhausting, but like so good. Like to just get stuck into it.
Yeah, but he has constant summers and works with his shirt off, so living the dream.
Yeah, exactly. Dibbles in the chat, did Mikkel and Kosher change the vibe / attitude when versing North American teams? Yeah, 100% Dibbles, 100%. Like, you're standing there on Universe Point against some American team, and so we played, oh, that's a lovely pass. Look at that little kick step from Mikkel. Watch that shimmy. Bang. Little kick step. Gets him over there. And so I think something to note with this move specifically, Felix, is that people follow the disc. For anyone watching this, move the disc as though you're going to go there. Like people watch the disc. They're not watching you. And so if you pull it onto that backhand side, as opposed to like, he moves his shoulders, yes, because he has to move them, but the rest of his body doesn't go anywhere. His hips stay exactly the same.
Yeah, and just by like starting moving, making a little movement, you kind of then as soon as the defender moves, you can like then almost subconsciously then break the force, because just by them moving, they almost like commit to something. And when they move one way and once, then it's very difficult for them to then change and move the other way immediately. So, exactly. And he does it when he cuts as well. There's a little movement, and then the defender does something, and then he just goes.
Yeah. So yes, they definitely they definitely changed the vibe. So we played Pony, and we played 4 US teams. We played Pony, Truck Stop, Temper, and Blueprint, who are also from New York in the pre-tour, and we won all of those games. And the vibe when you know, like, you have somebody that's just been there before, you know, it's foreign to you, it's not new to you. I mean, you and you have somebody there who's just been there before, who just grounds it all. Like, you know, they've been here before, they know exactly what's going on. And you know, it's difficult to be bigger than a moment before you've been in something of a similar level.
Chris Koch just working the crowd.
Yeah, working it, getting it done. So yeah, I think definitely they grounded us against North American teams. Yeah. So moving on to so Luke, watching the hips as a force, but it's hard not to react to that kind of move. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, yes and no. Like, you can throw that inside backhand without moving your hips, though, right? Like, that no pivot, that's just an arm movement. So, I don't know. I think it's kind of natural to watch where the disc goes, because that's kind of where they're going to throw. I guess I semi-agree with you, but I don't know. I think
hips don't lie. They say hips don't lie.
They do say that.
It is a catchy song.
Have
you ever done the exercise where you get, you know, the 3-person break force drill? Have you ever got people to close their eyes when doing it?
On the mark?
No, with the disc.
No, that's interesting.
It's insanely interesting. Like, they just continue to break the mark like 95% of the time. You don't even need to look. You just close your eyes and just throw something, and then it gets there.
Yeah, do it with purpose.
Yeah. So,
shout out to JTH in the chat, Peter Robert Wright. JTH, probably the most decorated Australian ultimate player. Chronically kind of underrated, but has been on a bunch of teams and just gets it done. And he still gets it done here. There was a period of time in 2008 where a doctor told him he wouldn't be able to run again because he had too many ankle injuries. And now here he is, still running. What is this? Like 10 years later, and still crushing. And also shout out here to Johnny Mack, right? Johnny Mack made Nuts Life Terribleness. He got the MVP from them afterwards because he was just all over Nut like a rash.
Is this Johnny Mack in the black hat here?
Exactly, yes.
Okay, let's rewind and just go through this point again. So Jacob says that his favorite game, I think that's like 2 people who said it's their favorite game to go through.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites as well, man. I share that with you, Jacob. I have watched this one so many times. I don't know if you guys have that game on film that you played in that kind of gives you those like real like I don't know, motivational vibes or feelings. But if you do, I'd be interested to hear it in the chat what that one is for you.
I quite like I'm just kind of like looking at shape. So, you know, whenever I like pause and just look, like the way I perceive the field is actually like I just draw kind of like a line around here, and there's someone deep as well. And then I'm like, yeah, I quite like that. That's just one of my
kind of like... And I think that Ring run out of a kind of flex stack or flow stack or something that isn't assigned to a particular space, but just like you could see where they were kind of in a side stack, and that was fine because they had players isolated out in space. But I think they move and flood to clear the front of the disc and aren't too worried about where the stack is at any particular time. You know, if we were to break down their structure or where their cutting priorities are, I think that they like small ball movement at times, and they just shift the focus up and down. I don't know this.
Yeah, well, they come from Frank Huguenot's hometown, and I know he's had some influence on them. It's debatable how much.
Yeah, I don't know about that, man. Like, I think that they had a session with him. I don't know how it went, but it I don't know. There's a lot of unusual players in the ultimate scene in North Carolina, having spent some time there.
Yeah. Okay, what's this called? Is this another pick? Defender upon defender pick. Yeah. So 22 here. He could get out of the way, couldn't he? Like.
Oh, in terms of the pick rule?
Yeah. I mean, he should be avoiding picks, right?
He turns there and he sees him, and but in order to avoid it, he'd have to go behind.
Yeah. So, he would have to go behind to lose his position on his person. For me, the simplest solution is switch, right? That for me, that's the natural thing. If offense move in a way that crosses over, that draws you into another defender or even the offense, then the defenders can switch and actually be more efficient if they switch. So if you look at that with that context, then as he goes up the line there, 22 should just mark him. He's in better position to mark him right now, and 12 should. I think
though in that instance, like, yes, he could go, but I feel like it has to at least somewhat be communicated to J-Mac. Otherwise, the player in the backfield is wide open. Like if J-Mac's close, he's like right there. So I think that yes, that you're definitely right. That could happen. But I feel like in those instances, sometimes when you're that player just tailing on the hip, you're kind of like, no, I got this. Like,
yeah, especially if you have like a bid, then you kind of want to stay with it. But yeah, I mean, exactly. in a different world where it's all trained and the communication channel's already open, then it would be much more achievable.
Hey, so we got Jacob Mum in the chat. ASU. What's ASU, Jacob? What's uni is that? Was it close to Cincinnati? Were you at WUCC? Were you at this tournament? I played a season of college in Arizona State. Oh, maybe I would have played you then. I played a season of college at UNCW in 2013. I don't know if you're at uni then. Oh, J-Mac, close on the run through there. See, he's just there. He's just there. And like gets a little piece of that, just lets him know that he's there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like a little touch. Look at that, bang.
Oh yeah.
Touch, yeah. Oh yeah, there I am, nut. And I think like it's an interesting concept to think about the dump defense being a battle of attrition, right? Like it's just you're just grinding him down. Like Nut's gonna get it 95% of the time, but if J-Mac can make that like 80%, then over the game he's winning. How many of these cuts, how many movements can he make Nut make? One, and then he has to go out far. He knows he's close. That was tight, right? Like how many movements can he make him move before he gets the disc? How long can he make him? Yeah, so I think watch over the course of this game the war of attrition that Johnny wages on Nut here, and just kind of appreciate the long-term grit and grind that kind of takes. That mentality of like, as a dump defender, you're coming on the field, you're not going to get a D the first point. You might not get a D the 10 points, but in that 11 or 15. That's when you cash in check, right? Like that's when you're trying to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. So it's that separation that eventually leads to the score. I think it's because he gets distracted by Nethercut's cut up line here as well. He just turns.
So that's Rob Andrews, amazing player. Did a great job on Jack this game and is just such a great athlete.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the, I guess, vice captains of the team. And yeah, but just got caught napping, I think, there. Jack's quite quick-footed for such a tall guy, and I think that he, I was telling Felix earlier that I played that year of UNCW that I talked about earlier. Jack was a freshman on that college team. And he did nothing. Like he was a basketball guy, just like didn't really buy into it. And he did a couple of crazy things, and we were like, oh man, this guy could be good. And then he really focused down. And after I left, he just like became the biggest deal. And he's a great guy as well. Got a lot of respect for Jack.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I'm quite critical on this stream, but I have respect for all the players. But at the same time, I think good players probably get sick of just being told they're great all the time. And so I don't pander to any of that. I'm just like, oh yeah, you could have done this better. And I think there's a base understanding of respect for everybody. No,
I wasn't. Yeah, insinuating. I think let's rip into it. Let's get down.
So when this pass goes over here, and he's just kidnapping for like a fraction of a second, then that's when the defender should like bust a gut, I think, to get over to the break side of their person. If they're able to see that actually the mark isn't going to be on it immediately.
Do you think that back cut, the cut behind, is opportunistic, or do you think that that's a structured play? Like he's not the last back. No, the red arrow. Sorry, the red arrow.
Yeah.
Is that opportunistic, or is that a structured? I'm the guy that's meant to go.
I mean, it could be either or both. I mean, the back of the stack is quite a classic look. I mean, it's your offense as well, right? But from this situation as well, continuation with the back of the stack, and then if it is opportunistic, it makes perfect sense as well, because there's a fair amount of separation there, especially compared to these players here. So not sure, impossible to say, but could be either. I've got a cat like lying on my keyboard pretty much.
That makes it hard. Jacob, I feel you on that Stanford game, dude. They were difficult. Like, they were a tough team.
Nice.
I felt like their higher intellects helped them play better Ultimate. I don't know if that was just me or if that was you as well. I think I'd like to set the scene a little for this game going into it. Who was Colony and what was this team like going into this game? I think that before leading up to WUCC, we had, while Felix sorts his cat out, I'll just talk about this. We won the local season. We went undefeated at a Manila tournament. We came into the tournament like 61 games and 0. We hadn't lost. There's some universe point games, but we felt like we'd got a lot of games under our team as a belt. Under our belt as a team. Sorry, I think that and that cohesion that we had coming into it was so helpful for us. And so this was our quarterfinal. We played New Zealand in a pre-quarter before this, who'd just beaten Heads of State, another Australian team. And before that, we'd come into the tournament. Our pre-tour had been amazing. We'd had a great time. We'd beaten the 4 American teams. You just interrupt me here if you want to talk strat here, Felix.
It's the same thing I was saying earlier. Just fraction of a second earlier recognition could have stopped this. Yeah.
Oh, ladder caught napping.
Reminds me of Dylan Pritchard's first D in the USA Japan game, where as soon as he sees the disc swing, he like takes an urgent step, and then a fraction of a second after that, the offense cuts there. And because it's such a well-timed cut, they assume it's free. And then Dylan Pritchard gets like a layout fingertip D.
Yeah. But you also got to be as fast as that, right? Like, he's playing to his strengths there.
Yeah, but he does. Yeah, but the difference is the repositioning.
Is that exactly that moment of anticipation? Yeah. I mean, his read of the game is so great. Like,
I interrupted you then.
No, please, you continue to do so. But so we came in. The pre-tour was amazing. We beat 4 American teams, which had never really been done before by Australians. And then the tournament, we played a tight game against Chuck, which was on the stream as well. They were really, really good. And then we played a few more close games. We lost to GOAT in the lead-up in a really sort of unusual game where there was like 1 or 2 offensive errors. And yeah, we'll talk about orbiting in a second, actually. Orbiting was something I learned off Ring of Fire. I don't know if that was a thing, but just reading the chat with Jacob and Benji. And so we came in like we could have gone, if we'd beaten GOAT, who won on Universal 13-15 or something, if we'd beaten them, we could have gone to the other side of the bracket, which would have meant an easier quarterfinal against Japan. Who was the Japan? Nomadic Tribe, I think.
Yeah, Buzz was still banned.
But a harder semi against Buzz was still banned.
Nice.
Yeah, that was bad.
You got kind of lucky, didn't you?
No, it was a dumb decision, and I'd like to go into this actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, we'd beaten goat. Oh, we'd lost to goat, and then so we had a harder quarter and a harder semi. Sorry, a harder quarter but an easier semi. So to get through this, we weren't reversing revolver in the semi. So in terms of my mentality coming into this was a big game for me, right? Like this is close to as big as I've ever been in. And playing a major role. And so moments like this throw is a result of me panicking. It's a panic decision where I've been throwing scubas all tournament and it's been fine, but this is the time where the pressure gets to me and I'm unable to make that throw. And I ease into the game, but like the advice I would give myself in this moment, if I could just whisper something in my ear, it would be, let the game come to you. And you don't have to go in there swinging, like work your way into it. You don't have to thread this triple helix scuba over to whoever that is.
So something I've noticed with some throws like this is that it's made because a second or two before there was an option, and it's almost like a regret throw. It's like, oh yeah, if I'd have thrown the hammer earlier, then that would have been complete. And then you're like, oh, it's probably still work. And that's when these kind of throws start happening, as Rodders points out in the chat as well. So the hammer now, because the defender is moving away from that threatening space. So there is actually a huge space over here, which anything can go to. And if anything, your receiver should be seeing that. And turning their hips to give you that option. And instead,
I'm going to blame this one. I'm going to blame this one on A-Shape. Is that A-Shape? You should have turned your hips. Listen to Felix.
and then he does a little bit later, and he starts backing off, and so that's when I think you're like, okay, I guess he does want that, but then by this point the defender is actually looking at you.
Option. And such a bad option.
I mean, it's a nice scuba to get that distance, but it's a little travel.
Denya ate that one up. Denya played Dingoes in 2008, so has been in the game for a while. Fun fact about him: he's currently wearing boots that are covered with sparkly emojis. The team enjoyed making fun of him for that, and I'm going to continue to do it on this stream. The emoji boots giving him a little spring. Up he goes. Smiley face, winky face. Down with it. red dancing woman, and bang, he's off to the races.
I think did you want it to stay outside in this though, or you...
I think that I wanted it to dip back in. I wanted it to be sharper than this,
right? Because
I don't have that length on my scuba. It was a I can't explain it away. It was just a bad look.
It's a little bit of a misread from Red Hat, to be honest. That's why it's
totally.
If he had read it and gone straight there, he could have got the D, I think.
He had a lot of players to worry about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's interesting to think about yourself within your like stress profile, because there's like you who's like chill in a league and whatever and just like crushing it, and then there's you who's in a quarterfinal at Worlds or at college nationals or at your quarterfinal in league. You got that stress pressure profile on you there. Depends what gets you to that state, but like. Obviously, and I think, thinking about it, definitely my pressure profile is maybe hucking early or trying something risky early. And maybe if you know that about yourself, then you can just steady the ship a little bit. Do you think you have a pressure profile, Felix, in terms of your decisions that you make? Do you clam up, or do you... And anyone in the chat as well, does anyone feel like, when the pressure's on, what's your behavior? How does it change?
I think I'm kind of like a spiral player. So if I do one cool thing in a game, then I start playing really well, and then I'm relaxed. But,
nice.
But if I do a couple of things wrong, then I start getting my head a little bit and start second guessing myself. But then all I need to do is lay out, and I'll be fine.
Yeah. There you go. If it's just as easy as that. So yeah, anyway, lucky point for us. 2 on the board, 1 for USA, Bobo with the pull, Danny Petrov next to him. In order to remain in I think. Oh no, that's Mark Wee. Mark Wee next to him. I think Wheezy was planning on watching this, so I hope he is. Moving up to Nut, we got Nut v Johnny again. Let's get more of this action going.
Is this yeah, right in the middle back here?
Yeah, so what are they running, a hoe? Do they run a hoe there?
Yeah. Let's just go back quickly. Kind of.
No, split stack,
Split,
split
yeah.
stack 2-3. So they initiate out of the 2. We run this play too.
I think
At least.
like set plays from positions and stuff are massively overrated, because all they aim to do really is get the disc passed once and then maybe again, but they hardly ever kind of work out that way. And
yeah,
you spend a lot of kind of time and energy practicing learning them, whereas in fact if you just learnt to kind of view the field and take the open pass, then he'd throw to this guy over here, you know. But instead he's looking for the active cutter. But if you get the disc to this guy, then he's got loads of space, and then you can kind of work with that. It's a more kind of fluid and dynamic approach to the game, which I can.
I kind of agree with you, but a combination of the two, right? Like, I think a major difference for us with this campaign in Colony, and like the defining feature of our campaign, was that we learned offensive structure, and we just did it again and again. And it was something that Cupcake brought back from Bravo. He was like, without a defense, we're just going to run this, and we're just going to fine tune the movements without defense. And we did it again and again. We did it at every training. We just ran through it, and you know, the pattern was fluid. It was, you know, there were set rules: cut from the back. You know, at this point we'll look at the 1. At this point we'll look at the dump. The dump at this point should look at the swing or should look at the far side pass. Like, different people have different rights of way in different situations, but this was the one thing that really allowed us to be consistent in these moments, because we just drilled that movement so much.
Yeah, if you can get like routine and rhythm, then
yeah. Oh, Johnny Mac forcing another tough pass there. Just chalk another one up.
Cameraman just got the scaffolding in the side.
Big hug from J-Mac to Henry Fisher. Got a couple of inches over Gavin, who catches in there.
On the line. Nice. That's good technique to finish it.
Yeah, nice little flip.
Okay, let's watch it in real speed.
But I think also note how far out Nut. Sorry, has to pivot to get this throw out. Bang. Yeah. All the way out. Like, he's got to go big and around, and yes, it's a beautiful throw, but it's you know, it's another one where you're just like, you know, putting it up, and just you're thinking about it. He's right there. You've had to go out wide, but yeah, good work for him. But yeah, the set plays, and I'll point out some set plays of ours at some point when we get back to it. But they work well for us, to be honest. Felix, they work really well for us. Maybe when you got initiators like you know, Mikkel and Kosher and, you know, Shep, we had great initiators, so maybe that helps.
Yeah, no, I'm not fully against them. I train set plays out of vert stack even with the teams that play Hex, just to get the disc moving. But the aim of them is to just get the disc moving and then go into flow, you know, rather than to actually use them repeatedly to advance the disc down the field. But, you know, not all set plays actually are designed to advance the disc the whole way down the field. A lot of them are just designed for that first throw, that first catch, and then kind of go into flow. But for me,
I agree with. Oh, sorry, you go.
Yeah, for me, it's like if we're aiming to kind of get into that position where we're flowing, then there should be more work put into training and sustaining flow. Then, like, there's a lot of focus on set plays and not so much on like what we do when we're flowing. Like, players make it up as they go along, which is cool. But like, there aren't many guidelines around, you know, that kind of like in-flow movement and positioning and stuff.
Well, it's interesting to think about that. I think, just to note, Jacob, in the chat, I agree with you there in terms of set plays being used as a crush. I think a crush. I think you mean for a bad system as opposed to a good system. Like, people use it to prop up their shitty priorities and their shitty systems within their team. But I think that an interesting thing to explore, specifically in this context of this game, is the idea of like cutting priorities. And I think that that's, again, much more useful than set plays, is this idea that, you know, like, who has right of way in which situation? You know, when we're near the end zone, 20 meters out on the forehand sideline and backhand force, who's running then? Like, what's the, you know, there are only a certain number of positions that you can define on the field, really. And if you set them all out, back middle, middle of the end zone where Cupcake is, who has right of way here at store count 1, and who has right of way here at store count 5, and what throw are we looking to hit? Buzz bullets are always looking to hit that inside out underneath, coming across the front early in the count, and they all know that, and that's how it works. Sketchy turnover there from Shep.
Is it? Because when I watch the Buzz bullets, it doesn't seem like they're running set plays so much, but maybe that's just because they're really good at them. It seems like that they're more intuitive with the way that they play.
They are, but they have their priorities, right? Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, they have they're like, okay, when we get in this position, and you watch them, right? Like, their dump clears, or like the person on the line throws the dump, waits, goes upfield, but the rest of the team doesn't move, and they just shoot across the front. I think it's sort of something that a lot of teams don't consider is, instead of just being like, we're going to run a vertical stack, it's like, okay, when we're in the middle of the field and the store count is 1, we want all the cuts coming from the back of the stack. And then when it's later, we want all of them coming from the 1. And when we get up close to the brick mark, we want all of the cuts coming from the 1 as the first priority, and then from the 5 as the last priority. And so it changes, and you change your priorities. And I think that's kind of the next. It's exactly what you're talking about, right? Like,
yeah, when you have so many like definitions, like you're saying, and then it's kind of like almost like a simplification, but also like a interpretation as well. It's like it's a lens through which you can view the game. Like
exactly a shared lens.
Yeah, a shared lens with the team. Yeah, and
exactly.
I think with offense at the moment, because of defense, could go into a lot of detail here, but I think on offense, that's the most important thing at the moment, is that you have everyone on the same page, knowing what they're supposed to be doing. And I think defense needs to evolve to actually, be field aware and communicate and use teamwork, in order to force offense to then have to have more open options. Because for me, when you like define, okay, here's the A option, this is our primary option, this is secondary option, and as Rodders says in the chat, the best set of plays have multiple options. Of course that's good to have multiple options, but the most number of options you have is where you don't specify anything, and anyone can do anything and anyone can go anywhere, and then it's like an infinite number of options, right? And so
yeah, but an infinite number is just nothing. Right, like if you have 2 options,
it depends what you train for.
But if you have 2 options cutting under for a disc, that's the same as no options. So you only need 1 option, right? Like, I understand.
Option option isn't necessarily like a full speed cut going to space. Option for me could just be a player stood 12 yards away, and you look at them, and then suddenly your brain is like, right, I could lead the disc over there. If they take a step that way, then it could be here. If the defender does this, then it could be there. And once it's you and someone else 12 yards away from you, it's pretty easy to complete a pass. Even more so if you're already in motion. So if you're catching the disc and you're looking up and there's someone in front of you that's repositioning, that if they stop moving, you can just throw the disc to them. It's like very, very easy once you're in motion to keep the disc moving.
It kind of sounds like prioritizing the players around you, though, like looking at the first options, the short passes around you, what's available immediately. And I think that, if that is the system, then as long as people are on the same page, then it's totally fine. So can we talk about this cut really quickly on that thing?
Yeah, which one?
So this is one of our set plays, and a really strong cut that Mikkel makes. It's a common set play. Just charge out from the 1 as though you're going deep. The thrower could throw a fake. You see Denya moving here, I think it's Denya on the left, moving here to try and pull the guy out of the lane. But the cut itself is sold by more than 2 or 3 steps. A lot of people just go like 2 steps and come under, or 3 steps and come under. But let's see how many steps Mikkel takes here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and under.
Yeah.
And so it's sold by the length of the cut and the commitment to that deep cut. You got to get them past the point of believability, which is like that front of stack, second in the stack, third in the stack kind of area, past the point where they've got to sell out to take you deep, to guard you deep.
Yeah, true. But all you've gained is the stall count's been reset, and he's catching the disc actually moving away from any teammates. So it's not very easy to sustain the flow, and there's kind of no yards, and it's close to the sideline. So yeah, you pass the disc, but it's not really building anything.
Well, it's building movement. I get what you're saying though. Like, it's not building positive like field gain. But I think just getting that first pass moving, like, you want the disc moving. It could have been to what's your ideal there? Like a horizontal pass to a front of stack or something. That could be good.
Yeah, well, I mean, and any pass is good, right? Well, I mean, that's a bit of a broad statement. I'm just saying that the direction and the place that you caught that pass
could have been better. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And so if the aim is just to complete the pass, then I don't know if you even need to have like a set pattern to run. You know, like I said, you got someone 12 yards away from you in space, then you know, you can pretty much make it up how to get the disc to them. But like, okay, so then this goes to the thing of like, it depends what you train, you know, and there's a lot of players who are not comfortable in that situation, want to actually both as a thrower and a cutter, kind of have a plan A. I'd be like, right, let's try for plan A, and then if that doesn't work, we go plan B. It's just the way that I train teams is right from the beginning is like, you're going to have to learn decision making in dynamic fluid situations. Disc is in your hands. We don't have any plan, but you know what your aim is, like get the disc moving and try and get it towards the end zone. And it doesn't necessarily mean they look for the short passes. Something you mentioned a minute ago, like, you know, if you catch it and the deep throw's on, then brilliant, you do that. But I find that it's a different way of training, it's a different way of playing, but it teaches like a more kind of like solid skill set, like a well-rounded skill set. So then players that have learned that way can then go into other teams where they do run set plays more and be like, okay, I guess we do that. But then as soon as like the disc moves once or twice, then it's make it up as you go along, and then that's where those players then shine, because that's what they've been doing. That's what they've been doing the whole time in order to get the disc moving.
But I think what I'm saying about make it up as you move along, and you're talking about decision making, and I think that what's important here, and there's a few comments in the chat that we should get to, but I think the thing is that the decision making tree is the same for everyone. You know, they look here, the thrower and the cutter both know that they're going there, and then the next thing is that the thrower and the cutter both know that we're going to look for something here. And the decision-making tree is similar and is shared. And even if it's different for the runner and the thrower and the cutter, they just need to have that shared knowledge. And do you think that am I in agreement with you, or are you not, or do you not feel that that's the case?
I've done work on a decision tree myself. I don't know if you've seen it, the hex movement decision tree. I'm going to bring it up on the screen.
Oh, here we go.
Let me get.
So just while Felix is doing that, to answer Ezra, the continuation after that would have probably been for the 5, so the last in the stack, making a move. Jimmy comes out and under, and we've been playing against middle a lot, so you'd probably make a cut from the 5 towards Jimmy and then deep if you can, to sell them on that kind of weak side deep movement. Would be the next thing that would probably come for that. So hex decision tree.
Yeah. So in terms of decision tree, it's not play based at all. And Benji from St Andrews coach, he said the most distinctive thing about this thing that makes it most hexy is actually the what it doesn't say, you know, because it doesn't say like look at your reset after 5. It doesn't say, you know, look for a break, look for a deep or whatever. It's literally just like, right, if the disc is in your hands, then if someone's open in front of you, you throw them the disc, right? Pretty simple, right? and then after you've taken that open pass, you look for the return pass. Okay, so then immediately you're then in a loop where it continues flow, which is essentially like a dribbling loop, right? It's like as a route 1. But then that person open in front of you could be in the end zone. They could be so that you look for the return pass, you don't get it, and then you go into the other side of without the disc in your hand kind of branch. If someone's like almost open in front of you, then you fake to them, because then they, you know, that will make them open almost certainly. Once you fake, then you reassess the situation. But if they're not open in front of you, then you ask yourself if you can continue the flow, which can mean like throwing in any direction, but it can also mean like if you catch a disc from left to right, you catch it, no one's in front of you, but then that's because like you've cut and you're facing your own end zone, then continuing the flow of the disc might then be looking for the continuation to the other side. So yeah, can you continue the flow? And then if you can, then you take the pass and you look for the return. If you can't, then you look at the previous thrower, see if they're open, right? And if by that point you still got the disc in your hands, and this should be after like 2 seconds, yeah, like for me those first 1-2 seconds are like crucial. And then after those 2 seconds, if you don't have the disc in your hands, then you face the center of the space, right? And in Hex, the way that the players are set up is that when you face the center of the space, you'll always have one player directly in front of you. Not necessarily a player, but like that, everyone will know that is like one kind of area that people should be gravitating towards in front of you, and then like to the left and to the right, like 60 degrees. And so it's kind of like a standardized situation almost. So then after 3 seconds, you're then looking at the field and you're seeing this Hex kind of set up, which should still be in motion, hopefully. And then it works from there. And then on the other side, then it's more about like, well, I mean, that's what we were talking about, cutting and stuff. But
yeah,
for the Hex movement decision tree, it's like, it's just...
Yeah, and I think that, like, I guess, I don't know Hex well, but I enjoy the fact that it's new and people are trying new things. But I think that this, when combined with the shape, the inherent shape and the triangles of Hex, sort of spell out more clearly, the positions that you're looking for, right? Like in any one position, you're looking for a certain set other two positions, and they're moving in a certain structure in a certain way. And I feel like I think we're in agreement in that everybody's on the same page in terms of where they need to be and who they need to be looking at. And I think that's this, and different areas of the field. So yeah, I think that it's an important element that you can bring to anything, not just Hex. You can bring it to any structure.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit different because in Hex it does, it says face the center of the field. Like it doesn't say like, I suppose that as soon as you catch it, it's kind of like, is anyone open in front of you? But then that, yeah. But it's not.
It's an interesting point to talk about.
Yeah. We've had loads of chat in the chat, which we should catch up on.
Exactly.
As I go slow through these turnovers.
Yeah, what happens here?
Hey, Danny Ryle, by the way, in the chat. Hello.
Yeah, Danny Ryle played for us for a season. I forgot which one it was. 2018, 2017. Did you play 2 seasons, Danny?
Anyway, he was on GB under 23 mixed 2015. Where I was coaching.
He was maybe on this year's team, and I don't know. I'm not sure. I forget. They all the years kind of blend together. So yeah, so we had a pretty cheap turnover there, I think, just on a sort of miscue. Yeah, same year as well.
Just went behind.
And then do we get this back?
I think so.
So look, they're looking for their front of stack. Oh yeah, it's too far. For Noah Saul, who makes an outrageous breakfast burrito. I stayed at his house a couple of times while I was playing for Ring, and his breakfast burritos are off the chain. Great host, if you ever had the chance.
So, 50 Pazzo, who might be Stefan Rapazzo, who's on the stream later today. Is that Rapazzo? Great teams have depth in contingencies, multiple options to initiate, and all should lead to flow and rules of thumb for particular situations. Center, end zone, sideline. So one of the things that which everybody does, which doesn't, which is the opposite of Hex's idea of maintaining flow, is after catching the disc, turning to look downfield rather than looking to pass back to the person that threw to you, or seeing if anyone's in front of you. And for me, that's like, if you have like a perfect system and the defense isn't on it, then you turn and look downfield, then it's more than 50% chance you'll have an open cut that's ready for you. But it's just another overthrow though.
I maybe could have got that if I bid for it, but I didn't. And so
it's kind of like a risk. It's like, like if in front of you and the previous thrower, there's a high chance that they're free, but turning to then look downfield, it's like 50-50. So it's like it's immediate risk that you're stopping flow, and people will do it even if that pass, that initial early pass, is open, because it's just what people do.
Yeah.
So for me, like fundamentally, the sport is like it's like stop start
in the wrong direction.
And I think it's what someone in chat said earlier about influence of American football. It's very much like pass and then look for the next thing, and then pass and then look for the next yard gainer, and we're able to reset. Rather than like a soccer approach of like let's build an attack through movement.
But I think that if you have that approach, it's successful because it's shared, right? Like Bodie. So Bode has a broken hand there. Hasn't dropped one all tournament. I asked him about it. Bode's a funny guy, really antagonistic, and so he was all up in my business on the sideline and whatever. So I was joking with him about his cast and how was he playing, and he was marking up on me, and then he drops one, and then I score. Then we score a goal. So and he's mad. He's upset. Bode's got a lot of anger in him.
Is that like a health and safety risk, the cast on the field?
Well, I had a cast on, I think, at this point.
So it's cast versus cast. That balances it out.
Cast versus cast. Yeah, I broke my left wrist at a tournament, and this I only started. My first game was a few weeks before the tournament, and I only started catching with that left hand a couple of weeks out. It was pretty crazy, actually. A real mental struggle getting into the, mindset that you need to, the aggressive mindset that you need to be in.
Ooh, it's pretty heavy side stack here.
Yeah, heavy side stack, not to center. We come out with a pommy look, so that's we call them pommy looks, but I think it's probably because the Poms brought it to Australia, or we saw it at something or other. Oh, is it a pommy? No, it could be. So this is a junk look that you're interested in, perhaps. Who is this interested in this?
For me, this should be like such a advantage for the defense right now. Like the offense have just positioned themselves like ridiculously. Like just like I don't know. If we played like a different sport, if we played like field hockey and stuff, you wouldn't get a bunch of like 7 top players of a field sport being like, okay, we'll go out and we'll all stand along the side of the field. It just feels like a very strange frisbee strategy, and it's because it's countered by spreading defenders out over the field, right? So,
well, I think also Americans don't tend to play much zone. Like this is what you're seeing is a product of Americans versus America, right? Like they never really play heaps of zone, and so you can pretty reliably come out with a side stack and have space because they're also focused on that man v man matchup.
Yeah,
I tried running side stack one time and I just could not figure it out, and it sucked. I'll never go back. Not worth it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I mean, it can win world championships, so it's not like bad, but
yeah, I mean, if you got Bo on the other end of it, like. Yeah. Anyway, so this is what is this zone?
It feels like.
I think it's probably just a help set. So probably just something where we send 2 down on the disc. So 1 on the mark, 1 in the lane, 3 across the front, and 2 deep. And I don't know if we stay in it or whether we go out, but we ended up running this 2-3-2 almost exclusively. So we learnt initially like a help set and a zone, and then we just figured out you could just run the zone and transition out of it at some point, and it would just act exactly the same. So why not just learn this one thing really, really well? And so we had a 2-3-2, which is what you're seeing here, I think. And now we transition to man. Yeah, we transition to man. But we had a 2-3-2 that could transition into man. It could hold a 2-3-2. We could transition our 2-3-2 into pommy. Which was really fun to do and confusing.
2-3-2 is such a nice setup because
Yeah.
it's a balanced shape. And it is the hex shape, right? But I used to train a lot of. Oh yeah, I remember this. It's insane.
Terrence Mitchell, man, he is crazy. That is a crazy grab. This is all time. He's so springy. And he just roofs M and Lado here.
Yeah, and it gets stripped out of his hand on the way down.
Yeah, but it's impressive.
Yeah, it's awesome. There's a goal. The 2-3-2. You do have those equilateral triangles basically in the 2-3-2 setup, and so that's why I think you're finding it able to transition from that into anything else, because the distribution of players is so even.
Yeah, I agree.
That it just takes a little
you can concentrate them in. Oh, just goes up and over.
So
holy moly! Take M's hat off. Yes, please. That is just such a great grab. And neither M or Lado are slouches in the air here, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, most other games where we've been playing and you see M and Lado in a space versus a 2v1, they're going to win that. But that is just a crazy play.
And it's still off the ground.
Well.
He takes that off, yeah. He's off the ground for so long. Look, he jumps. He jumps like way earlier, right? He's up in the air now. Okay, and now the defender jumps. Okay, and he's catching it on the way down. Boom. All right, and now the defender lands, and he's still in the air. Then he's like, okay, I'll land now. His jump lasted.
His highlight reels are pretty wild. Like, he's able to do some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
He was on Ring the year I was on. I don't know if he played. I think he played O that year, but he's been playing for ages. He was like a high school recruit. And has been playing for a while now. But Patso, I see you in the chat with the match. I'll try. I'm still working on it. It is 2020.
I like calling it 1-to-1 just in terms of it makes more sense for me strategically to call it 1-to-1, because then I have 2v2 when you have like a bracket kind of thing. Yeah,
1-on-1, right? Yeah. I want to talk about Nuts flick here. Benji Reese talks about, says Nut makes that throw look so easy. There's so little baggage. I agree. It's something I think about a lot. But so Nut has pretty crazy shoulder mobility because he was a pitcher from baseball. And so there's a lot of players that will throw that play baseball. And so watch this throw. Look how far out ahead of his arm his elbow gets. See here, stop there. Can you get your arm like that? Go back one frame. Can you get your elbow like that?
It's bending backwards.
Like, look at that. Look at that mobility. It's amazing. So there's a lot of players in the States that are able to do that because of their baseball history. And you can kind of get it from tennis a little bit, but he gets his elbow out and he just whips around the joint. Like, he just whips his whole forearm around the joint. And that's how Nut gets his power.
He gets a better angle.
Yeah, so elbow out, whips his whole forearm around it. And that's the key with throwing distance on the flick side that we've kind of been looking at more recently, is getting your elbow up and out and leading the throw out there with your elbow and whipping around to generate that spin. And the sad thing is I've looked into increasing the mobility of your shoulder to try and generate more power in that way. But it's not really possible outside of like having grown up with a like messed up shoulder because you're pitching all the time. Like, it's pretty. But if you go to like, I don't know if you've ever seen a baseball pitcher pitch in slow motion, Felix.
Yeah, I'm about to show everybody.
Yeah, if you watch a baseball pitcher and that elbow comes through and they get this crazy angle on their elbow to joint. And if you hold your arm up, if people are listening now, I don't know how many people are, but if you hold your throwing arm up and hold it at kind of like right angles with your forearm pointing up and your shoulder straight out, and then you try and bend your elbow or get your fist as far back as you can without moving your elbow and rotating through that shoulder joint, and you won't even be able to get close to as far as Nut is able to get there. And so I don't know what to say to you. It's an unfair advantage, but it's pretty cool to think about in terms of just like baseball mechanics and it relating to ultimate in terms of like the mechanics of the throw versus the mechanics of a forehand.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I very almost got a video up immediately, and then Google's like, I don't think you're who you say you are. So I'm having to
verify yourself to Google. Kurt Gibson says that one of the reasons the US is good at frisbee is that they grew up playing basketball, baseball, soccer, and football, and all those sports help frisbee movements. I would agree with that. If you look at like it goes like slow motion. Or something like because you can so clearly see it if you go slow motion pitching or something.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, and they must have some sweet slow motions in this video. Here we go. All right, I'll slow it down a bit more as well.
This guy has a weird pitching style. He throws
submarine
really around it.
I've gone for submarine because it's like low release flick.
Oh yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, exactly. That's a great call. I had never heard of that throw before. But yeah. I think that
these are quite high release, to be honest.
Yeah, but the elbow is still crazy, right?
Yeah.
Well, like that ability to come through and generate that whip with the elbow is how Nut is able to generate the force that he does on those throws. And there are a few players that you see in the States that are like that.
Oh, there we go. It's a proper submarine. Is that Japanese guy? Yeah, it is.
Man, imagine the flick on this dude. Just cha bangs out. It's kind of like it kind of looks like I don't know if you ever see Justin Allen pull, just like full on all body, the whole thing's moving in the one direction. But I think another interesting throwing point that people should focus on is that you want all your force and you want all the energy moving towards the direction that you're throwing. Like you want your energy to be balanced and moving in that way. Well, have we missed something?
Yeah, it was playing apparently in the background.
Okay.
Something. Yeah, I think this is the right point, right? Something else that's interesting about that is they step forward with the left foot and throw with the right. So whenever you like get a beginner turning up and they start stepping forward with their left foot on the with their wrong foot on the flick, then just bear in mind that it is actually the mechanically better the better foot to step forward with. So the beginner's doing it right, but unfortunately they're not allowed to do it right. That's like I always kind of connect with beginners like that, especially athletic ones, being like, look, you're moving your body in the right way to get good power on this throw, but you're not allowed to move your pivot foot in this game, so you're gonna have to learn this weird way.
So this is another common set play if you want to go back. I know we've been talking about set plays a bit, but people have been talking about it in the chat, so I'll just point them out. But this one is from the stop disc. If we go back,
I'll go back. Yeah, I'll go back.
But the first three in the stack clear towards the force or break side.
Yeah.
No, clear towards the open side, and then the fourth comes under, and then and then the five is on an island out on his own. And it works a lot of the time. It's something to throw in if you're thinking about an easy one at league. First three in the stack, flat open side. That break throw goes out, and then you got the five just isolated there, ready to go.
Yeah, it's quite cool because you end up because you got this guy the dump, and then someone on the break side.
There, right? Like Jimmy was meant to get it on the left there.
Yeah, but it's kind of it's that thing of like fairly often set plays don't work, and then you just have to make it up. And even if they do work, then you're just making it up, and it's like, well, why don't we just plan for making it up? But yeah, I like it. It's good to have like an initial kind of like, right, if we can do whatever we want, then we'll do this, and then at least then people are moving. One of the hardest situations, especially in hex from the sideline, is where like the disc comes in and everyone's static, and no one takes the initiative to actually like start moving, and the thrower doesn't make it clear who they want to move.
So what was the turn over there? Was that me? I throw one and I throw another panic throw at some point as well. Yeah, here I think Kosh is going deep and he doesn't. Is that me? It might be me. Yeah, it is me. Yeah, okay. I get the disc over here and then throw one to Kosh going deep, and he stutter steps, and so it's both a like hesitation from him. We were connecting on these all the time, and if he had a step, I put it out to him. But especially with his, I don't know who that defender is, Laviolette maybe. I don't know, whoever it is, Kosh has got him for speed. I'll get it out there and he'll go chase it down. But on both our behalves, it's kind of hesitation that forces a turn in that kind of panic state at the start of the thing. JMac has a question. JMac just texted me. John McNaught, you probably have heard of him, but he was saying +1 for Noah as a host.
I played.
What a guy!
I think I played with he's got a brother, right?
John McNaught?
Yeah.
I don't know if he has a brother.
Yeah, I think I've played with his brother at Paganello, but there's a chance it was with him.
Might have been his dad.
What? No. What did he say in text?
He said against more relevant against Hex, play containment D that allows them freedom to pass lateral and backwards, and if they take open passes, they'll never gain ground. How does Felix combat this? At some point, you need to go forwards.
Yeah, Dan McNaughton. Yeah, that's what I played with. It's once a disc is moving, it is easy to turn any movement into forwards movement. Like, and I agree that like your primary thing should be we're trying to advance the disc, but not at the expense of stopping flow. And that's the crucial difference, I think. So like sometimes, especially if all you're used to seeing is like conventional offense, then when you imagine Hex, you just imagine it to be loads of like backwards and lateral passes, right? But in reality, with the way that the movement happens and with a couple of players that can dribble, then that movement around the back will inevitably open up something, especially because the defense are very committing, you know, like it's not like in soccer where you don't even guard those defenders. In Frisbee, we guard those back players like pretty tightly. And so it's very, very difficult to play perfect defense. And so as soon as then there's a slight overcommittal from that defender, then you're able to then get the disc moving forward. And then because of the setup of the offense, you have continuation options moving forward. And yeah, so fundamentally, like getting the disc moving, once the disc is moving, it is quite easy to turn it into forwards movement. And if you don't, then, you know, that's just really, really good defense. Plus there's like anyone could go deep from anywhere on the field as well. Like people who play against Hex are a bit scared of it because they don't know where the deep cut's going to come from because people don't isolate themselves before cutting and stuff, and we're kind of spread. So someone could go deep from the near side or the far side, and they're all viable options. Luke says they tried playing that D against Hex with Leeds a few years ago, but the O would choose to flow backwards for a bit and then mess us up going forwards afterwards. Right, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense, Luke. Kind of changing the area of focus or the position of focus and then spreading the defense out in that backfield a little bit.
Yeah.
So we got a nice look around. Where are we on this break? We're on this break point or break opportunity for Ring after a cheap turn from yours truly. And who is this going deep here? Oh, that's me on the back of Sol Yannick, and he comes down with that. He had good position over Cup and I. And then he spikes his shoe. I think there must be some backstory there, but he's pumped about it. So
yeah.
If he's pumped about it, I'm pumped about it. You know what? Just got to respect the effort. Now he's got to put that shoe back on.
Well, I'm Yannick's new biggest fan after seeing him against Canada in the under-24s 2019.
Yeah, he's a very smart player.
Doing some dribbling and stuff.
Really a smart defender too. Like loves the grind and loves kind of like just getting in people's heads, which is cool.
So Luke says something interesting, that it's frustrating playing that D against Hex and just watching them flow backwards happily. If they stopped flow just outside the end zone, then they just went backwards as well. So this used to be something we did a lot, which is like you flow. So the way you score is either long throw or flow. Okay. In reality, then you've got like breaks and stuff as well. But like for like pure Hex, then it's like, right, we'll either score from long throw or we'll score from flow. And if we flow up to the end zone and then stop, then you can't do long throw anymore and you're not flowing. So then the plan was then to flow away from the end zone. Okay, until you're in a position where you can do a long throw again, right? Super weird, and really weird to mark against. Yeah, so imagine you're playing D on people in the end zone, and then the disc starts moving backwards, and you start feeling good, like we're forcing them backwards. But then you realize, like, okay, do I cover my guy really tight, like I was when they're in the end zone, or do I now guard the deep? And like transitioning to go back and mark someone covering the deep after they've been in the end zone is something that defenders just don't have to do. So quite a lot of the time, you flow back and then suddenly the huck's on. You just reverse the flow and go into the end zone.
Yeah.
Danny, what do you mean by a non-consistent playing group? Oh, as in people coming in and out of training sessions throughout a season. Yeah, I mean, it's tricky because, I mean, at university, we get players. I'll rewind this video because you haven't been watching it. At university, we get players coming from other teams, and that's hard enough as it is because, you know, it's a very different style of playing. So then I have to kind of like unlearn the stuff that they're bringing with them, and then kind of reteach them the hex style. So that is a challenge in itself. And yeah, so that is one of the biggest challenges, really. If you have a non-consistent playing group, and if you have people coming in and out, you know, then you kind of like, if they're only there for a couple of trainings, you're like, hey, you know, just like play organic. And people kind of like doing that. That's a nice deal, wasn't it?
Yeah. I'm interested to talk about the zone with you, Felix.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the set is, because I think it looks like a 3-3-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3-3-1. But then they clamp on here.
Yeah.
You see this?
Yeah, so the person that's on force that takes the dump.
3-3-1 will force back towards the middle. But this one transitions close enough to the sideline. I don't know if there's a call there either. I can't hear anything. But whether that's silent, they just know. Like JD goes to the mark, who's the guy in the yellow cleats there. They also call him the muscle hamster. He's a very good player, great guy as well. But interesting flair on a 3-3-1, if anyone's watching this, for a more aggressive little tweak that you could put on it. I guess if you wanted to take it to the sideline and then really trap them there with those three players upfield guarding under and that one deep, and challenge someone to put that hammer across, you might get some nice turns there.
Nice. Yeah, it is good to have a plan like, right, we'll get into the sideline and then suddenly the pressure's going to be on.
Yeah. I think it's cool to have these. It's cool, fun thinking about these transition zones. The transition based on where the disc is. You know, in the middle of the field where it's most aggressive, they're containment, and then in the sidelines where there's least threat, then it's aggressive, which I think is cool. And so we're almost 2 breaks down here, right? This is close. And Dibbles asked, "Where's my head at?" I'm probably like gone in like survival mode here. I'm just like, keep getting water in, keep running. Like, shit's gonna happen. We'll make stuff happen eventually. Who am I on here? I can't even tell. But
a nice throwing go from the 18 here.
Yeah, I think that
I kind of want them to continue, you know, but he knows that the guy's going to catch it and turn away from him, look downfield. So like, it's an open pass. And does it really matter that you're losing that many yards? He's obviously in the position that he can see the whole field as well, right? So he knows he knows what's over here. Whereas this player kind of knows what's over here. So the easiest pass to make is back to this guy, and then he can already see what's going on over here.
I get that. I think Dibbles. I think I'd whisper to myself that it's a long game. You know, yeah, you've had a couple of bad looks at this point, but like, there's plenty of time still to get your head back in it. I think you just got to take a breath at this point and not get too caught up in the score line, and just think about the game as a whole and your role in it. You know, focus down. What are you here to do for your team? What's the role that you play at this point? You should kind of know what that is on an offense, and there's a few simple things you can do to kind of get back to that. And you just got to focus in on them. And if you've got to this point and you haven't defined that yet, you're in trouble. So it's worth thinking about what's your core value to the team? What can you do reliably all the time, and then just come back to that as your kind of steadying ground.
Yeah, and mentally I like to remind myself that my team will like support me and want me to do as well as I can, and they trust me as well. You know, like I'm on the team for a reason, and like my team kind of want me to do well. Because it took me a while to. Sometimes I'd spiral and then just kind of like beat myself up. But making that realization helped me. I love this defensive setup, you know, and that maybe that's why it calls a timeout, because it's this fundamental thing of like when the offense are bunched together, the natural counter for the defense in terms of space is to surround, and it just means that initially when he's got the disc here, he can't throw the disc out to space here because the defenders are all closer to the space.
Yeah.
So it's just really
I think
good
this is
setup.
something fun that people can do really easily. Again, if you're, you know, just like mucking around with the team, or you have something like a league team and you want to try something in the end zone that's going to keep people out, is like you got 4 up in the stack or 5 up in the stack, and just send one person out to the break side and have everyone else pick up for them as their player runs past them, and just see how you go. And it's kind of a pretty fun exercise, because by the time there's an open player, it's like 5 or 6 in the count and they're not looking anymore. And so it's a really easy way of mucking up the end zone play. But you got to be smart, obviously. You got to be high level, well, not high level, but you got to know what's happening. Somebody goes there, everyone else reacts. That's a great D.
Do you play any indoors?
No, we don't play indoors here.
Okay. Well, seeing as we're speaking about surrounding stacks, I'm going to give a little preview of a video that I'm working on at the moment, which is related to surrounding stacks.
Vertical and side stacks are very common at the moment, so if you play Ultimate with this principle in mind, it can often be applied to good effect.
The Mohawks. There's surprisingly few Mohawks.
Yeah, I know, right? But they all got Mohawks for nationals.
Oh, do they? Oh, that's good.
Yeah. This is the semi-final of regionals.
That is so ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
So these are my boys. You know, these are guys that train Hex and Flex constantly, and so they see a stack like this, and they're just immediately right. Let's do that. And there's a little bit of like pointing and like communication to just like adjust to make sure that every player realizes they're marking every single one here, and they've got a little bit of space here, but it's like break side deep. And then as soon as the movement happens, they're just all helping each other. And they don't really need to think about it anymore because we've trained it so much. And then there's a switch at the end from Zach, heads up, to get the D.
It's nice. It's a nice set. Good anticipation from Zach.
Yeah. That's just a little insight. That video's coming out soon.
Yeah, it's good.
Become a patron.
It's good. That's just such a good D. Become a patron. Sign up, like, and subscribe.
Yeah. Trigger those bells. Get notifications when we go live.
Yeah, nice D from Laviolette there. Surprisingly fast guy. Big games. Are the captains, so Stencil 25, are the captains coaches scouting your opponents and creating adjustments? How does this trickle down to the players without making the game all about uncontrollables? Yeah, I mean, yes, we're like the difficulty with Colony was that we're captain coaching, so we don't have heaps of time to scout. We rely on our other players, and so I think with this one, Johnny Mac helped us with scouting, but we don't focus on that too much in Australia. I know they do in the States. Like when I played for Ring of Fire, we'd sit down before nationals and we'd go through the two teams and all the different matchups and what they like to do, and we'd watch footage before the nationals games on Ring of Fire and be like, okay, you're marking X person and this is what they like to do, this is their movement, go study them. But I think in this one we had a few key players, we had a few key matchups, and I think that you can avoid talking about uncontrollables by not giving them like finite, like 1-0, like a binary scale of like, you do this, you succeed, you do this, you fail. It's like, just try and stop this thing. Like, and just so, you know, you talk to Johnny Mac and you're like, okay, just try and like make him juke a bunch. Like try and make him throw wide when he throws, and that's it. And that's all you ask of him. And so you have that kind of like revolving scale of success in terms of matchups, because I kind of think that you're talking about scouting, it's a lot about defense. I think it's just about and you could also isolate it if you have matchups. You don't have to get the whole team together and be like, this is what this person's doing, this is what this person's doing. especially in a man-on-man setting. You can just take Johnny aside and you can say, "Hey, Johnny, this is going to be your matchup," and Johnny will quietly process that without the pressure of his team and make it his thing. Or, there are a number of guys that you could go to and you could say, "Hey, this is your matchup, going to be your matchup," and they would just take it on board. And I think if you kind of put yourself in that situation, Stencil, your coach comes up to you and says, "Hey, we want you to take this guy out for us. Here's what you need to work on." I don't think you'd ever take that kind of as an uncontrollable or negatively. I think that'd probably always fire you up. And then I guess it's about just making those adjustments throughout the game, and trying to adjust to take away the things that you thought you didn't think they were going to focus on that they are. I hope that answered that question. That was a pretty roundabout way. Dan Rule definitely scouted so Han. Yeah.
So I want to focus on this. I wish I knew his name. Red Hat player.
Alan Laviolette.
Laviolette. Okay, so what Alan does here. So this is really, really good. Okay, so he catches the disc here, and he knows that the defender is going to go and like try and seal the lane. Okay, and so he uses that movement against him by he turns his shoulders to be like and squares up to be like, yeah, I might throw over there. And so then the defender starts going over there. But then whilst he's defender's still moving, he reverses the flow, right?
Counter pivots.
Yeah. Throwing back to the person that threw to him, person that's open in front of him. Yeah, because he caught the disc facing this guy, so he knows he's free. It's like Dylan Freechild classic, isn't it? And then this means that then, yeah, he's now free on the open side going up line. And Cupcake recognizes this. So then Cupcake is like, right, maybe we'll do a buzz switch. And he takes a step off, right? And now Alan like delays his move because at this point here, you're winning, right? Because you got two defenders marking one and nobody on the thrower. So he waits to be like, right, which one of you is going to take me? And then as soon as Tom starts going towards, then Alan then goes up line hard. And so then the defender then has to be like, uh-oh, I've got to commit to that. And by committing to that, then he's able to then just kind of get free coming back into the middle. But really nice kind of move to kind of take advantage of moving the disc.
Like
really.
Changing the focus from what is expected. Like the expectation, as you touched on, was to go wide there. And he just threw in something unpredictable for the defense to have to try and figure out.
Yeah. Fakes out the cameraman as well.
Yeah, exactly. Always impressive. And this is a lovely throw from Judah here, straight through the middle.
Yeah.
No chance. And they are up 2 breaks early on. This guy's got the bookends. Mm-hmm. He's pumped. And, at this point, you're saying to your team, you can't put any more pressure on them than you have done. It's at this point, it's about hyping up the D boys who have been riding the sideline for the last 3 points. It's about, the offense is going to, and
the offense is
there's no more pressure. There's no more talk about offense here. They just do what they're going to do.
Do what they're going to do. Right. I think you're cutting out a little bit. I don't know whether something's changed.
Yeah, I think it's better now.
Yeah.
Is that better?
I can hear you now.
Okay, good. Well, I was just going to say, I don't know where it cut out, but, you're trying to hype up your O-line. You're trying to say the O-line's going to get on there. Just make it happen, nice and calm. And then when D comes, that's when we need the energy, boys. Hold that in reserve, and when we come out on D, that's where we need you. And we got to be ready for that to happen. The expectation has to be that your offense will score. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Sorry, I was just figuring out how to turn the sound on the video as well.
Yeah, great. So we got Mikkel with the disc, two people guarding him around the dump, one in the lane. I think we've got a stacked line here. With I think this is Gavin Moore's come over, long time vet. I think it's Gavin. That's difficult. My field's a bit blurry. No, this is Gavin. He dishes off. I think that Rob Andrews is also on this line.
And this is an interesting
And
game.
so we really wanted to get this one across.
He's played a season with Ring of
Yeah, there we go. Nice.
Lovely throw from Shepard to slice that through the middle.
Yeah, good fakes as well. So I noticed there's huge spaces early on in this. So he catches the pull through to Jimmy, and there's massive spaces appear here.
You alluded to it right off the bat today about the fact that Colony is player-led.
Interesting poach from the dump defender there, going to the inside,
Yeah, so
inside lane.
what are you?
Sideline, whose sole job is to
What do I what?
coach, tweak, make adjustments.
What do I?
Freystad
You cut out again. I'll just say, what are you?
Saul on Kocher.
Still can't hear you.
No. I'm saying
For
am
Andrews.
I? Can you hear me? It's pretty
Yes.
laggy.
I can hear you
My
now.
internet's not been great.
And this is an interesting game.
Nice
for
little
Johnny
hammer.
too. He's played a season with
And then yeah, the poach defender comes across, and he puts a couple of fakes in, and then sets himself to make that throw.
And this is an interesting
So I think
game
we can
for
see
Johnny.
here, it's that separation actually that causes the poach. The hammer goes over. That defender just doesn't seem to follow
Game for John
for a second.
McNaughton, too. He's
And then this defender has to kind of cover it, right? Otherwise that's going to be a goal. So then this defender should really then recognize that defender has got cupcake, and he should go over,
with
marking the end
Ring
zone.
of Fire.
But it's that flash poach versus
To the open
switch
side, and
question, which I think we dealt with last week on the stream.
found the open man.
Well, it's Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Andrews in the end zone.
So something Richardson is the guy at the back's name, the big dude who kind of messes up the poach there. And he's super athletic, like he's a crazy athlete, but I don't know if he's got the game sense of a lot of these other players. You see him mess up another decision earlier on where he doesn't quite read it. And
So the guy at the back did all right. I thought the guy at the back did all right to cover.
this guy should have, I think, seen that that player was coming across to cover, right? Like the
Yeah.
other player's not going to get that to the back there to cover Rob. I
Yeah.
think he should have noticed that angle was being cut off and then taken a fade step back to at least cover that line. If you look here, see like that throw, I don't know. I don't think he's got to look at that, and I think he's got to see that. I would probably say that the guy at the back goes wide.
Really? Because I thought about that, but I think
Actually, having looked at it, I think that you might be right.
because if there's no defender on that, then I think
Yeah.
getting the disc over here isn't too hard. You know, beating that separation.
I guess neither of them see him, which is the issue, right? Neither of them clock that Bobo's gone wide.
Well, I mean, the guy at the back has to make a decision between them. And this guy, I think, is in the position where he could see, oh, that has happened now, because he's still closer to him. Potentially, he could have done it earlier. You know, potentially you see right now that he's free and he actually goes towards him, and then he's able to then drop back earlier. But it's a little bit late. He waits for him to turn, and then he's like, oh, I commit to it. And this defender then doesn't have time to react.
Nice
But-
look from Shepard here to steady the ship. Gets us back on the board. 4-5.
Yeah, that's
Take a
not
deep breath.
that's not an easy throw, is it? Like when you got that much time and you know the window's closing like that.
Totally. Keep it low in the wind. You don't want it to bobble. It's open. And so the whole team collectively takes a deep breath now, and you steadied your nervous energy, and you are looking at attacking again. You're on D. Anything can happen here. And so it's great. It's a good feeling.
Yeah,
and we're right. We're right in this, and we're confident we're right in this.
Yeah, Danny points out the Force was covering Cupcake to an extent. Yeah, the Force was doing a good job to make the throw hard. But when you can break the Force 90% of the time with your eyes closed, then it's very difficult to hold a Force, especially when there's that much separation.
It is.
The first person to realize should be the first person to move. Is Kim quoting me?
Wow. Can't argue with yourself. That's tough, man. That's tough. Being internet famous, you're gonna have these quotes pop up every now and again, I guess.
I just say something last week and then it just comes back to me.
Suddenly the BBC's picking it up.
Yeah.
All right, we got Bobo here with a big pull. We're coming out on D. He's having to back it up, but Bobo just has wheels for days, so it's no worry to him. he'll come out off the back of a big tournament, you know, and go and run another bunch of Ks, put some through his legs because he thinks that usually the big tournaments are 3 days and they're more than 2 days, so 2 days is enough.
Yeah. 2-3-2 again. Something I've found with the 2-3-2 is that when they have 3 handlers at the back, it just gives them too much of an option, too easy an option. So when I used to play Flex in more of a zoney style, then we'd always be like, if they have 3 at the back, then one of the wings pushes up to take that one. So you do end up matching up 1-to-1 from your zone setup, but then you switch between people really frequently. So it's kind of like a hybrid between zone and 1-to-1. Now you've transitioned.
Doesn't that become a 3-3-1 though?
Yeah, it essentially could become a 3-3-1. It depends where the offense are, and the more it depends on where the offense are, the more it's just like 1-to-1 really. Oh, that's unfortunate.
I think we get it actually, but
Oh, really?
so that's Lucas Nichols, I think, coming through. Maybe he has a bit of contact, but it bounced over him beforehand, and you'll see it in the replay. But Danny Ryle asked in the chat, do you think A-Shep got underestimated by the Worlds at Worlds a lot, or did he usually pull a tough matchup? 100% he was underestimated. The dude caused so many free goals. Even in this game, he catches them, and he'll just take off and catch goals. And that was his, like, you know, another unspoken benefit. Lulu doesn't even leave the ground, and that is trash.
You don't think it's a good call? You think it's a bad call? What do you think?
No. I think, in terms of the call, I think it was over his head. I don't think there's any way he's getting that.
What do you think in chat?
Look at it. I think he's jumped by that one. But yeah,
it's an interesting one.
A-Shep was catching goals all over the place, and because Jimmy and Chris were on the team, they would just catch the best. They would just take the best matchups immediately. So the rest of us got, you know, the 3-4-5, and I don't know where Shep comes in that, but he's going to dominate the 3-4-5. Yeah, I agree, Danny. He floats under your radar big time, and then he's suddenly scoring on you.
Foul or no foul in the chat? Okay, John says no foul. Sam says it's gone over him.
Hey, a few Aussies in here. Sam Butler, what's up? How was your wedding, Sam? Is that recent, or was that a little while ago?
Noah thinks he would have had a second look at the disc. So I quite confidently or quite strongly feel that this is a foul, because the disc is going up over his head, right? And instead of jumping here, he goes to turn to his left. Okay, so now his hips are turning, and he's trying to turn to his left. Okay.
Yeah.
As he's turning, his arm gets hooked. Yeah, and so then that turns his whole body around to the right. Now he's turned completely to the right, and he still goes up. And he's at this point, he's only like 8-10 inches away from the disc. And if his momentum had carried on with that turn, then I think he would actually be where the disc is.
Big time foul or not areas here, Felix. Our ultimate, get your pitchforks out. Let's get this up.
Yeah.
I'm down campaign for whoever wins, you know.
His arms can't
I want to know what the outcome of this was. I can't remember anymore.
Have I changed anyone's mind in chat? Retracted call. So, okay. Didn't think it's a foul. And maybe you don't have right to that space to have your hand out in front of you. I don't know, man. I think if a defender comes flying in and knocks your hand and rotates your body...
I think that the observer had told him that he felt that it was over his head. That's my recollection of the situation.
Yeah.
But, and then he retracted based on that, which is, you know, given the context, a really well-spirited move from him.
Yeah.
And you see here the power of having Johnny Mac, Lado, Gavin, even Jimmy on your D offense here. They're just so reliable. They're just going to keep getting it. Bobo gets it, dips a little one to Johnny Mac, who catches that one. And then here's what you're talking about here. This is you. This is you.
Well, he's completely free.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm glad he doesn't clear out. I'm really glad he doesn't clear out. But
you write that one up, man.
So Ring struggling against zone. Quite a
Lovely play
surprise
from
given how much
Johnny.
throwing
Lovely play from
experience
Bobo, Gavin.
and power there is.
And there's having somebody who's such an aggressive thrower on your DO is so powerful. Like so many times, defensive offense, you're so afraid that you've got the disc that you don't do anything with it. But he's just so good at nailing those aggressive looks. He had a few. There was one in the semi-final against the bit that wasn't filmed against what's the team? Double wide. And Johnny just steps out and rips this upwind backhand that no one else can throw. And it's just such a game-changing tool to have.
So congratulations, Sam, for getting married. And Kelly wonders whether he was entitled to this space.
Arms can't extend.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's moving in an unreasonable or unpredictable way.
Arms can't extend.
And I think that left hand gets very close to it. And if he was able to actually turn his body around to the left rather than it getting turned around to the right, yeah, I still have my opinion on that.
I also think you got to take into account his momentum a little bit. I think that he didn't have the best lead up in terms of a jump. I don't know how much higher he was going to get than that after stumbling backwards. Anyway, Ballona, our ultimate.
Yeah. We'll put it to the registers.
Exactly.
Number 4 here with the blonde hair just kind of just runs off to nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. Sees them out at the back, doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, there's awareness. It's not basic, but just I don't think awareness is taught very much in frisbee. Yeah. Either on offense because you have your set plan. You're not required all the time. You're not required all the time to just be looking around and taking in the space on the field. And on defense, so often it's just 1-to-1. And yeah, it helps to know where the space is on the field. But it's not essential. So I feel like awareness is something that is neglected in the current meta.
What drill would you use to teach that to somebody who's like, oh, I've got this team that I'm developing. How do I teach them awareness?
If you want on defense, then there's a drill called Trent's drill, where you cluster offensive players in a group and you surround them with defenders. And there's no real disc involved, and the offense basically are trying to exercise the defense in that they try and get out of the surrounding situation. But the defenders on the outside, as soon as one of the cutters goes out, then one defender goes with them, and the other defenders close the gap, and then that defender shepherds the person back in and communicates so that then the gap opens up, and then they rejoin the surround. And you start that off with real dumb offense, so they're just testing the defense, make sure they get the idea of the drill, and then gradually you pick up the intensity, and then you can add a disc in as well. You don't want everyone cutting at the same time, so you have to put in some restrictions like that.
Yeah, I think that sounds really cool. I'd love to try that.
Yeah, it's nice. So the plan with Felix Ultimate, right? I have all these offense and defense ideas, okay, and my job is Ultimate, right? And so I've been giving a lot of stuff for free for a long time, and I still want to do that. But the distinction I'm making now is I'm basically going to do the how to play. How to play hex, how to play flex, what they are. Carry on doing that for free, but then how to train it, that is something that I'm trying to monetize, because otherwise I have no career. It's how do you make money from having strategic revolutions? And so
no, I think that's fair enough.
So every month I'm releasing a how to train hex or how to train flex video, which has got a specific skill or practice shape or dribbling or awareness on defense or communication. And every month, $8 patrons are getting a how to train video. So if you're interested, become a $1 patron from now. If I know everyone's saving money, especially right now. You can become a $1 patron, and then if you feel like upgrading it to $8 and then watching all the videos and then downgrading again, that's cool, But just having your name and having that building that base and that community is what I'm kind of doing at the moment as I then add more and more content. So,
and even in this stream already, haven't you got $1 worth of entertainment to your viewer? Haven't we earned that dollar yet?
Plus, if I get, I think I'm on 42, 41, 42 patrons right now. Let me load it up. So I'm on 42 patrons. When it gets to 50, yeah, I'll buy a second webcam and have it trained on Rue during live streams. Yeah. So
That's the deal.
Yeah, only 8 more patrons, and then
you could be this change viewer.
And look, like imagine, like she's so cute, and she's hugging my arm the entire time, like a little yawn, and it could be the whole time during the stream. So when you get bored of me talking about switching and complaining about picks, then you can just chill out and watch a cat nestling against my arm, and she's cute.
Lovely. So what's this zone that they're running now? Is this their 3-3-1? Are they running this again?
Hang on, I need to actually look at the screen. Right, let me rewind. And if you become a patron whilst I'm live, then it plays a pretty cool frisbee GIF as well. So there's motivation for you. It just takes a couple of minutes. Mike Palmer is a patron. He gives $3, $3.50. Yeah. So the arrowhead. So let's see when they plug it to the line. Let's see whether they mark the backwards pass.
But I don't know if they do it on both sides. They kind of, you've kind of got 2 up. It's pretty flexible, isn't it? I like this zone. And so then he goes back, and then comes there, and then JD is free to go and mark him. But then because he clears, JD has to stay, and now there's a lot of clutter in front of the disc.
Jimmy's just like something overhead.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he's so good at seeing space and just making it available through his superior arsenal of throws.
Yeah.
So yeah, what are we looking at here? So I think the aim is really to contain and to try and force chaos downfield. That's a lovely throw for Daniel through the middle there. And as a cutter, you're trying to find the gaps like that upfield. So if you're looking at that, look at this heinous travel that I do here. What is the point of calling this? So as a cutter upfield, you're trying to find the gaps. You know, you're trying to, if I keep running here, I'm not in a gap. If I stop just at the right time and Denya's just on the same page, then we can hit that gap down the line. And it's trying to find, those, and then maybe later on, if that throw doesn't go up and those players are drawn, if you can anticipate as another cutter in and around that space, maybe close to the middle of the field or deep, you can take advantage of those players being drawn to that position, just for people looking to how to counter this stuff.
Hey, Rapazzo! Thank you, Rapazzo, for your pledge. Stefan is joining later today, actually. 5 o'clock UK time. Tune in, Benji and Stefan. We're going over the notorious Japan versus Canada 2012 game.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad that we're doing it, but at the same time, I'm kind of not really looking forward to it. But at the same time, I definitely am.
And all the Canadians did not play well in that game in terms of spirit, but Japan's no sweetheart either. Like Japan is,
Yeah, that's what I've heard people say. So I'm interested to actually properly go through it and be like, right, who started it, and how bad were Japan's moves compared to Canada's.
I don't know if they compare in that game. Canada was pretty heinous, but overall,
It's
having
called
played against
heinous.
Japan a lot, I'm not that impressed with,
Right.
some of the things they go for.
This is Alan Love.
Alan again.
Cool. Yeah.
Big focus, isn't it?
Hey, Greenie. Ooh, nice one. Thank you. $5 donate. £5 maybe donation, and a different GIF. Thank you very much, Greenie. More Aussie games, he says. Well, it's funny you should mention it because we've got Liam Grant in the chat, and he's going to be joining me next week to do Australia versus Japan in the men's final of the AOUGC.
Johnny, are you now going to just do a countdown of the amount of money we're? What is this? $9.67. That's good, Johnny. Yeah, so you're opening up your market here, Felix. This is good for you.
Yeah, it's great. And we'll be back next week as well, right? To do the second half of this game.
Exactly, yeah.
Same time, same day.
Yes.
And
yes,
I feel
sir.
quite good. It's not a bad way to start the day, you know.
Oh, hang on a sec. We got to break this down. Go back to Jimmy with the disc here. Look at this. So that's step, right? Like if you're an offensive player, if you're somebody looking for something that you can work on, look at this. Jimmy's step is one of the best in the game, and he's just able to generate such explosive movement. So he turns his hips, gets that split, sells Zog. His name's Hard Zog. Sells Zog to the sells Zog to that open side or break side, because that's like where the front of stack is always looking to go, and then takes off on that open side. But it's that amazing first step that is able to sell that. And something you got to recognize is that one player in that vertical stack is that a lot of the time the defense will overcommit on the break side, because it's such a, if they're good defenders, they got to be tight on that because it's such an easy throw to hit.
It's what they're ready to bite on. It's just primed to bite on it. So then Jimmy's just like, maybe I'm going there now.
And you sense them close to you like that. You sense them on you.
Yeah.
And you sell them.
Yeah, he does it. He does this all the time, and
yeah, bang.
It's so efficient.
Because Zog sees the threatening space, right? He sees the threatening space going inside, and he's able to push it out. And then you got some blinding speed from yours truly. Look at this.
Nice.
Slowly lopes up the line. Oh shit! Get back here.
Doesn't even need to lay out. let me see how you got free. So you see the disc moving. Oh, he went to reposition there.
Yeah.
And then he's just not expecting the speed, really. And you give a slight angle on it. So that's helped by, I think, Jimmy being able to milk this throw a little bit. Like, he doesn't have to attack it, and so therefore he gets the disc moving slightly towards the end zone. So I think
and then he's able to look upfield.
Yeah, you're able to almost seal the defender off by going shorter and then deeper. Nice pass to lead you out to that corner. Good speed to run it down without needing to lay out.
It's so lovely. It's so lovely playing offense with Jimmy too. Like, you can just go anywhere and expect it to land in your lap.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I like that he didn't pivot outwards too much there. He looked for the initial backhand, but it was just a little move, and then he turned and pivoted inwards and faced inwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's of all his attributes, Jimmy's throwing is his best attribute.
Yeah,
that is the skill that he is best at. He's very good. The cutting in the small space is next level as well. It's kind of hard to compare. I mean, like Kosher is way better at Jimmy than cutting in small space. Like by a factor of a few, I would say. Having played with them for a while, I think Jimmy's step, that step that we talked about, is what makes him seem powerful in those small spaces, or what makes him powerful in those small spaces. But in terms of small space footwork, Kosher is unbelievable. Right. Unbelievable.
Does it count as a Jimmy shimmy? I know normally it's when he's when he's got the disc in his hands. Yeah, because it's not really. He doesn't step forwards. He just kind of goes down and bends his knees and moves his hips
Yeah, exactly.
So I think I got a Jimmy shimmy as well as the classic one when he's got the disc in his hands.
I want to find something that that's the same but that rhymes with mickle. Has anyone in the chat got something that we could, the mickle tickle or something like that?
Mickle pickle.
We could just name his two moves, but it doesn't. It's got to make sense, I guess. So what are we on? We just pulled. We're on defense here. We've come down in a match. Shout out to whoever called me out on that earlier. We got a player on the right here, just totally free, and there's a pick ball. I'm trying to work out
what the stoppage is really. Oh wait. Right, okay, it's off screen. That's why I keep replaying it. Can't see it. It's Mickle Rick. Yeah, chat's generally quite good at coming up with rhymes.
Yeah. M on the mark here. Nice one to stop that flick. And you see now we're back in Terrence. And he still scores a bunch of goals on us.
Yeah.
But we're really respecting that deep look because he's just schooled us there a couple of times. So you got to make those adjustments throughout the game. Take away the player's first look, see if he gets the disc, and see if we can force an error, which we're close to doing here. If Gav doesn't foul him.
Yeah, force them to adjust. As soon as you see they can do something, then be like, okay, can you do this other thing now?
Mm-hmm. I think, yeah. I think this game is interesting to view within the context of Australian Ultimate 2 and this team generally. Oh, Lulu here with another close one.
Yeah.
So close to that.
Just a little bit of contact.
Yeah, a bit of contact with the back. Oh no, it's not Lulu, it's Bobo.
But the mic roll. The mic roll? Mic roll. I turned myself into a mic roll.
So, before this campaign, Australia had never really sort of beaten the US. In 2006, we'd kind of come close with some of the good teams from the US. They beat some of the Aussie teams then beat some US teams. But since then, we hadn't really had much luck against the US across all divisions that I can think of. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there would have been no win.
Oh, that was that famous near win in 2012, was it?
Yes, the famous near win in 2012, exactly. We just released a podcast on that, Inside Out Ultimate.
Yeah, it's really good, actually. I listened to that. I recommend it.
Gus McDonald put that together, editing legend. And yeah, that was a crazy moment that was captured really well by his podcast. But Wombats beat USA in 2012. Good call, Greedy. Great call. Wombats beat. But then, apart from that, nothing really. And so anyway, coming into this, you've got that weight of that history behind you. You know that it builds up over time. The longer you don't beat somebody, the harder it gets to beat them, I think.
I'm just posting that podcast in the chat.
And yeah, check it out. It's a really good listen if you got a spare 20 minutes. Which we all do these days. Come on, face it. Yeah, so I don't know. It's interesting thinking about that weight of sort of history and pressure behind it coming into this. And so we managed to get the break back at some point, and now we're in a tight game. Mikkel on this one, just a lovely outside in backhand. And I have to toe the back line, and I'm really close to out. But Noah's such a great guy that he'd never call that. He's such a legend.
Do you mean you were out, or?
Well, I was close. Look, let's see. It was a force out. Like if he had called me out, I would have called a force out because he was in my back. But
that's cool. I like it when players just understand that and they just don't call it.
That's cool. Exactly. He was like, I mean, you can't see the line really here, but it's close. And if he had called it, I wouldn't have been surprised, but I would have called the force out. But he just doesn't even look at it. And he's just one of those guys that's like, I wasn't good enough to get it. I'm not going to use the rules to make up for my lack of, my decision making. I wasn't good enough and I don't deserve that. And I think that's somebody else like that in Australia are the Dow brothers who just really are the epitome of spirit to me. And Matt Dow and Nat Dow have been around for a while and they just have that attitude. I don't know if you have similar players, so it's close.
Yeah, but at the same time, the rules are the rules, and so it's like I don't like the idea of going against the rules for no particular reason. But in this case, the rules are the rules, and the rules cover the situation. So it's like you don't call them out because you weren't going to get the disc, and then you contacted him in the air. So therefore, even with the rules, so I think you're quite clearly in with your left foot down there, and even if your right foot's down, then your heel lands first. So I think you're safe. So
but I think we both seen that called, right? Like in that moment, it's difficult to pass up that close call, and it takes a real class act to stick with the rules of the rules and understand that in the heat of the moment. So just respect to Noah for that.
I think most players would be totally cool with that. I've never actually. I've not really been, maybe once with Fire of London, been in a situation where I've been forced out fouled and then there's been a prolonged discussion afterwards.
Were you on Fire of London or were you against them?
I was against him. I told this story the other day, but I went up and two players came, like it was near the sideline, just outside their end zone, and I went straight up. Two players came and like just clipped me, and so as I came down, I was then like going over the line. I stuck my foot out and got my toe down, like just inside the line, but the middle of my foot then came down on the line, and then I threw the assist, and the defenders were like out, and I was like no. I was in, and you fouled me, and then I scored. So we had a bit of a discussion then.
Bloody Fire of London, huh?
Yeah, I know. It's funny because actually a lot of their spirit was potentially people looking at the Australian players influencing their team.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Well, bloody Australians.
Who was it that? Who was it on their team? They had an Australian guy for many years. Maybe Rodders can remember. He was the first guy who contested a call of mine that I couldn't understand why he was contesting. And this was like after I played like 5 or 6 years, and or maybe 4 years, and it was like my first encounter of like, is this person actually breaking the rules? I was baffled. It was like. It's just I tried to throw like a high stool scuba or something, and he hit my hand, and I was like foul. Yeah. Just came back, and then he was like contest, and I'm like what? And he was like yeah, no, I contest it, and I'm like what? But you hit my. I just couldn't understand it. I just couldn't conceive of the fact that someone would actually try and break the rules in this game. So that's a massive credit to Ultimate that I played for like 4 years without even encountering that once.
Yeah. So we're at 7-7 now. Game. Yeah, great pull from Rob to land it out. Not land it out, but bounce it out. Lovely pull there. The wind's starting to pick up a little bit. And we're going into half, but we're tight, right? Like, you know, you're almost at this point, like, really believing that that we're in this, that we're ready to take the hang with these guys. You know, they're making errors, we're making errors. It's close.
Is it Galaxy Point? Is it game to 8? Half at 8 or half at 9?
Half at 8.
Galaxy Point.
Big look here, and Danny Petrov. Danny Petrov, super explosive player. I would put him akin to, you know, a similar player to Matt Johannes in Australia. I feel like a bit of attitude, you know, has the springs and the smarts to make it happen. And if you look at this, Gooch gets upset. But I think that it's a good bid from Danny. Like, I think Gooch has to come back into him. Like, Danny just goes forwards, and Gooch has to come into him to make the catch and stop the D. And I think that's a fine play. I don't know if you guys agree.
This angle will tell us the most, I think.
What was said there by Gooch? Something that Danny chirped up about Greedy. I don't remember. Just something like get off me, or like, I don't know. I cannot remember. Just like back off. And Danny was like, Danny just like fired up. And again, I think that's a good bid from Danny. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. He goes straight forwards, and he has to come through him.
Yeah. What do we think in chat? Quite often, chat is thinks that these things are dangerous plays. What do you think about that one, chat? Do you think he took off in a straight line, and the offense had to adjust and knew that they were putting themselves in a position of contact late? Or do you think the defender bid in a way that the contact was unavoidable and dangerous? Almost picks out the cameraman.
No response from the chat.
Not yet.
Quiet.
Constructing the wrestlers.
Danny P's too lovable. You can't go against him. Such a nice guy. Oh man, it's such a great bid.
Just seeing about when the offense adjusts. Yeah, the offense does adjust late.
I think, I agree with Greedy and Danny here. Took off before the offense changed direction.
Oh.
Yeah, and I agree with Patso too. I think it was definitely like a foul, in a no-catch situation, because he did come through him.
Let's see.
Yes.
Yeah, it's quite a late adjust, isn't it? Maybe it's a bit slow. No, it's good. Yeah, and then I guess it's that contact at the end that you're kind of worried about. But you know, if big, sorry, I shouldn't do the slow the frame backwards. It makes the stream stutter. So
that's such a nice, such a good looking bid from damn.
Yeah, so close as well. Yeah, it's a tight one. I think I'm same as you. I think I'll fall slightly on that side of being like, yeah, I think it is a fair bid, and I think the offense does have to adjust and lay out in order to get it first. And as soon as the offense is laying out, it's far less dangerous. You know, if you're both laying out in the same direction, obviously. You know, if the offense is straight legged or anything, then it can be really dangerous when you have contact on landing. But because the offense always has to lay out, then it's like, okay, we're both going to be laying out next to each other. Is actually quite safe.
Yeah, it's okay, and yeah, I agree with like Luke. Bloody entitled offense players, huh? But you know, I think that it's it's kind of just unavoidable contact, and there's going to be a bit of that. Can't really arc up too much about it, and I think that because they're both in the air and moving, it's not a late bid from Danny.
He takes off early, so he's taken off like here.
So Dibbles is just talking about Dennis Tran or D-Tran, and asking about Gooch about the play. And he was like, yeah, I just fired up. I shouldn't have yelled. It wasn't a big deal. So that's cool. Did you just bring that up in conversation, Dennis? You just walk up to him and ask him that to his face? Straight for the first thing? Or
It's quite cool that a player can recognize that. Like,
Yeah, definitely. Gooch is a good dude. He got the MVP from us for this game. But yeah. Pretty sure Dennis did, yeah. That's the first thing. Dibbles. That's funny. Yeah, so the now we're at 8s, we're at half time. You take a deep sigh of relief and you reset, right? You can't take the first half into the second half with you. It's a you reset, get ready to go again.
A wild Liam Grant in the background.
Yeah, there he is.
So this is a bizarre stream because we've got everyone that's going to be streaming over the next couple of weeks is around. So Liam's joining next week to do Japan Australia, and we've got Rapazzo and Benji in the chat, and they're on stream later today doing Canada Japan. But before I go into that and the schedule, do you want to give as you were just doing actually, just a kind of summary of the first half?
Yeah, so it's a lot of back and forth. Both teams have some rough turnovers and some rough points, but it's relatively even at this point. And I think that if anything, we have gained confidence in the fact that we're sticking tight. You know, like there's been some rough patches, but we know now that we can hang in there. And I think that the footing is more level than at the start of the game when you've seen these kinds of games kind of run away from the team that's more nervous to be there. But if we've established that foothold in the game now, and we're ready to hang. And right now you're just saying, go get water, switch off. Don't play the second half before we get to the second half. Just wait and let the game come to you. And make sure you're hydrated. Make sure you're getting sunscreen on. Sun safety is important. That was a big theme for us this campaign. We had broad brim hats, and gave them out as MVP prizes. And
it was hot in Cincinnati.
Yeah, it was hot.
I was filming, and there was just sweat just dripping down my back constantly. This is bizarre.
Yeah, it was hot
and humid, and then the storm. Oh my god.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I was like operating a pole cam, so I had my hands on a metal pole that stuck straight up in the air in the middle of a field. And then it was like, lightning's coming, and I'm like, oh god. Get the pole down.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a wild time. This tournament was crazy. It was probably the best or one of the best experiences of my life. And if you're watching this and you haven't been to World Clubs, get to World Clubs. Find a team, make it happen. Doesn't matter what the team is. It's the best tournament in the world, in my opinion. And I played a lot of them. And I just think the quality and the diversity and the passion that goes into World Clubs is just so good. It's a bit of a different beast from like Worlds, but I think just the everyone bond, like you've got such tight bonds with your club team that you don't have with your all-star national teams or whatever. And so, yeah, for me, this one's special. I love World Clubs, and the next half's going to be great. So, Putz is asking, after the campaign into the future, do you support the player coach role, or would you prefer dedicated coach? I think in this instance, we didn't really have, like, there weren't just many options in Sydney that wanted to coach. So if I'd had the option to have a coach in this instance, I would have had a coach. But we didn't just want to take just anyone. We wanted someone we were excited to work with, and the option for that just wasn't available in Sydney at the time. And so, yeah, that is what I would say. I would always prefer a coach, but in that instance, player coaching was the right role, right call. And then the atmosphere, did moving indoors affect the final experience for you in any way? Yeah, so the semi-final and the final were both crazy. And maybe we'll get to a stream where we do the semi-final, because that was amazing. And moving indoors was crazy. The sound in there was unlike anything I've ever heard. You know, like, you couldn't hear the person next to you talking. It was like being in a professional soccer stadium where you know, you imagine those players in the middle. Those players in the middle are just not able to hear anything from the sideline. Sideline comms is out of the picture. And like physically as well, the disc flies different indoors. I'm sure that you would know about that, Felix, with all your indoor experience. But I just feel like it holds way longer than it does in the outdoors, and we weren't really used to that. So it definitely impacted the final and the semi.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame that there's no UK teams up there, or even like Sweden or other countries that play loads of indoors, because people watching it that are used to indoors were like, why aren't these guys taking the easy options? Because they're playing outdoors, indoors. Whereas
I wish someone was telling us about those easy options, because we were definitely not finding it that easy. But the you know, people ask as well, like, you know, do you think you could have beaten Revolver outdoors, or like, do you think it would have been different were you to be outdoors? And I think that maybe that would be the case, but if I were given the option of changing the indoors experience for an outdoors one, I would absolutely not have taken it. That indoors experience and the whole manic rush before the semi-finals and the finals was an experience that I will never ever be able to repeat in Ultimate and not give up for the world, regardless of the result, because it was just amazing. So yeah, that's me. But that was a lot of fun, Felix.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining. It's been this has been fun, and I like that we, you know, had a mixture of talking about the plays and then kind of splitting off and getting carried away with sidetracked with things, and
yeah,
it's good to chat frisbee.
Yeah, it is good to get into the detail that so many people shy away from, you know, like, why not? We're obsessed with this sport. Why not really, you know, get into it?
Yeah, delve deep, break it down, tear it apart, then try and put it back together.
Just a couple more in the chat. We could have exploited J-Mac's lefty hammers dribbles, like, maybe, but J-Mac wasn't a staple on the O-line, so you'd have to move him across permanently, and you have, you know, Abra's lefty hammers already, and like getting to a final and then just being like, hell, we're gonna throw lefty hammers is pretty wild. So I don't know if I would ever make that choice, to be honest. And I would be very impressed if it was were you to get to that position and were you to say, let's just scrap everything and throw lefty hammers.
I even playing loads of indoors, I haven't seen that many lefty hammers, so yeah. I'm not sure those are the easy ones I was talking about.
Brings up the point that Aussie hammers in the final don't have a good track record. Very good point. Very good point. Sore spot though, Noah. Too soon, mate.
Hey,
too soon.
In this video, I'm going to talk about
that was. I think that was still the right option though. I think it just bounced out. You know, happens.
Yeah, definitely.
You could have thrown it anywhere to the right.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Just previewing a bit of the Patreon stuff. Okay, you've got to go get some food, don't you?
I've actually eaten a little bit. My girlfriend's just delivered me some Mexican, which is so lovely. What a life I lead.
If you are you around for the next like half hour or so?
Yeah, I'll be around.
Okay, sweet. Let's go to Discord with the patrons. If you're not a patron, you can come and maybe like listen in, and then if you are a patron, you can you can chat, talk about some of the stuff that we've been talking about. If you want to ask any more questions to Mark, then yes, your presence there for the next half hour or so will be much appreciated. I'm going to send a link to the Discord. Discord is like a voice and text chat type thing for anyone that doesn't know, anyone's not a gamer. I'll send it to the stream. So there's the link for Discord. Or if you become a patron, then it's then you get immediately the link, and you get a special role. Your name goes green in Discord if you're a patron, and you get access to the special rooms for chats and stuff. So let's head there now. We'll go to the Beehive room. Here's the schedule. We have another stream later today, so that's at 5 o'clock. So that's in like just under 6 hours. So I look forward to doing that with Stefano and Benji, and I look forward to the rest of the chat being there. Thank you again, Mark, for joining, and look forward to next week with you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Tune in next week, guys. Tell your friends. Make it a party, because next week is when it really gets exciting, right? We got a tight game, quarterfinals on the line, and there's some big plays and there's some big moments that you're not going to want to miss.
Yeah. Awesome. So thank you everybody for watching. I'll see some of you in the Discord now with Mark. The rest of you, I'll see you again soon.
Ooh, yeah. Yes, you're good. Oh, yeah.